Hi everyone, Adrienne Everheart here with you. I'm so glad that everyone can join me again tonight. We had this original Facebook Live, but we were having all sorts of technical difficulties. And tonight I have a backup plan if for any reason Facebook Live continues to be a nuisance and a problem. I have a special link for us to use to take us somewhere private to chat. So again, thank you so much for being here. I'm Adrienne Everheart. I am a certified dating and relationship coach. And I'm going to be talking tonight about the feminine energy mindset method. Now, this is something that I've put together after for so long being a feminine energy expert. I've been coaching women for years now on how to actually tap into their feminine energy, their feminine body, and how to have just an amazing relationship from that energy place. But it's something that most of us have to learn how to do. In fact, just the other day, I had a message on a YouTube video of mine where someone said, "You keep talking about getting into your body, and what does this mean?" So tonight I'm going to talk about that disconnect that we feel, what you can do about it, and how I have a brand new 8-week program that's going to really be able to teach you everything. It's the closest you can get to learning all of this material in one place other than coaching with me privately. So I'll give everybody just one more quick second to jump on. If you want to, you can utilize the comment section down below and type in a question or a comment as we go. Everyone else can then continue to chat with you and access that. So it's just a fun way for all of us to get together and chat and talk. So I'm so excited to be part of this exciting, positive, authentic, committed group of women I have here on iHeart Love Academy. And I'm just really honored to have your energy with me and your contribution by participating. Now is a time that women are stepping forward more and more. This is our time. The world has been for so long been in a masculine energy place, and there's really no reason it needs to stay in this masculine energy place without the woman's natural feminine energy being a great influence. It's just about shifting our mindset. Now, this is something I teach women how to do all the time in their dating and relationship. I teach them how to actually shift from a natural masculine energy, which is something you have. We all have masculine energy and feminine energy, but I teach you how to shift out of that masculine energy and into your feminine energy in the relationship. Now, my program goes much deeper. It actually taps into your natural feminine creativity. There's so many wonderful resources inside of you. But again, we are kind of stuck in this mindset that we're in the man's world and we are in masculine energy. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to join and just listen to this message and hopefully learn something. Again, this is our time to step forward as women, and I'm just so happy that you're here with me tonight to learn more. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this big shift that we're feeling and waking up to and noticing. Hashtag Me Too has been a big way that voices have been heard, but really the feminine movement, something's been going on for a very long time. But just now is energy something that we can really openly discuss without needing it defined. And I remember first learning about feminine and masculine energy, spiritual energy, things like this. And I actually had read a book about it. And it talked about how you could walk into a room where there would be people seated, and you had no idea that something like an argument had taken place just moments before. But when you walk into that room, you can actually feel the tension. You can feel that energy in your body. Now, this is something that women can do pretty easily, especially in relationships with men. But we have somehow learned how to either stuff it down and ignore it, or we choose to believe something else. So I'm going to help you just learn how to get in touch with that gut and your powerful intuition and begin to listen to this and follow this. But it is really about knowing who's doing the talking. And I go a little bit more in depth in that later on. But I'm just so happy we can have this open discussion about feminine energy. It's something that we all know is real. It's something that you know you have. You have masculine energy that is doing, making things happen. It's action. And feminine energy is receiving. It's receiving, it's warm, it's joyous, playful, light, effortless, so easy and laid back and comfortable. It's really a relaxing energy, and it helps to balance the masculine and feminine energy in yourself and also in your relationship. Now, I believe once you learn how to do this, you not only experience an amazing shift in your relationship, which you will, but you also experience a shift that happens outside of you. This means your career, your health, your friendships, your house, everything begins to shift when you are aware of your feminine energy and you can work from this place. Now, one of the biggest perks I had to feminine energy, and I had such a hard time trying to tell people how much it radically changed my life for the better. So it changed my life in such positive ways. It's like a part of my mind I hadn't been using became unlocked. And my creativity began to flow, my voice began to flow. Things in my life just began to shift so much with such positive movement. Now, I also lost some people that were not able to stay with this new feminine energy, but I also gained so many other valuable, amazing relationships. Some of the most powerful relationships I've ever experienced in my life, I have now because I'm coming from this very authentic place in my feminine energy. Now, that space that I had been feeling for such a long time, it was like a space or a void. And it was the space inside of me that was really begging to be filled. But I didn't really know how to feel it. I didn't know what feminine energy, was per se. I mean, I knew I was a girl. I dressed like a girl. I acted like a girl. I spoke like a girl. But really, I was spending a lot of my time angry, struggling, being loud, making things happen, and not really understanding how to communicate. I was really clawing my way through the world, trying to figure out how to make everything work for me, from my marriage to my career to sometimes even my friendships. And I was really coming from this masculine energy place. So, that void or that curiosity that maybe you're experiencing now, that's what this is about. It's about knowing there's something else inside of you, but learning how to access it, learning how to find it and tap into it. So this message is really for women who feel there is a larger destiny, a larger love, not just, a good marriage and a good relationship, but a deeper commitment that's waiting for your life and your heart. So again, the magical thing about feminine energy is once you discover how powerful it is, you can practice it and use it. You can begin to use it in so many aspects of your life. It's amazing. So, this is really about just answering that voice inside of you that has long been asking you for more, and that voice that's been telling you that there's just something more. There's something you're missing here. And all the books and all the videos and everything aren't piling up to that question that you feel is inside of you. Now, for me, this was like being woken up from a dream. And I was suddenly allowing my heart to feel things that I had otherwise been running from for a very long time. And not only was I allowing my heart to feel things, I was allowing my heart to express itself honestly without any thought going into how do I express myself in a way to get this result with this man, which is for so long where I had been coming from. And I really think that this is part of the dream that we are born into, that this is a masculine energy world, and that if you are going to survive, you have to be tough. And that feminine energy is weak. And from a young age, I was taught don't cry, don't show your feelings, stuff it down, hold on to it, don't let them make you cry. One of my earliest childhood memories was I fell down, I skinned my knee, and I was trying like heck to hold back the tears. And my parents commented how proud they were of me that I didn't cry. So, do you see how crazy this is? That we're in a world where some people are telling their kids not to cry, not to have that voice. And I'm sure there's a time and a place for expressing yourself with everything, but still you're in your body and you're having these feelings. So it starts at some age where we begin stuffing it down. And then, I was almost 40 years old before I began learning about my feminine energy and just that power that was so pent up inside of me, that inner girl that was screaming to get out of me. And she was behaving really badly in a lot of situations, which I think a lot of you endure. I was suffering from chronic panic attacks. I had a lot of bad anxiety. I had a lot of stomach problems and health issues. And I really believe, I believe that much of that had to do with stuffing down who I was as a woman, my feelings. I developed autoimmune conditions, which is where the body turns on itself. And every time I hear about the breast cancer rates or the uterine cancer rates, I just feel so sad inside, because what a more feminine area to strike women than these parts of our bodies, these feminine parts of our bodies. And so this is the movement that's happening everywhere. I believe it's really taking shape. Is that masculine energy is an option. It's an option, but you can actually have a career, have a relationship, and have everything you want functioning from this feminine energy place. You've only been taught to think. You've only been taught to solve problems and come from a place of figuring this out. And you're going to make that shift. So it's going to affect your relationships naturally. And then it's going to affect a whole lot of other wonderful things. And the more women that do this, the more just as a collective we're coming together and we're shifting our energy and we're being open about being in our feminine energy. This is how the world changes. This is how we change our planet. Women for a long time have been fighting for so many rights and equality, and we've maybe been doing it from the male perspective. So now we're a completely different generation. We're talking about energy very openly, and great shifts are going to be happening. And if the man in your life leads the way, if the relationship or love or desire for marriage leads the way as it did for me, then all the better. You get the guy, you get the ring, you get happily ever after, and all of this other wonderful transformation happens. So that's kind of the bigger picture. So I just want to get caught up with my notes here. So a lot of this is about mindset, and it's just, again, the mindset you're born into, it's the mindset you're brought up with. And just know that this is just really a temporary thing. The mindset is just temporary. It doesn't have to be fixed. It can be flexible. You really can learn to speak and be in a new way that actually will feel authentic and natural, more so than what you're doing right now. Now, I have to tell you, if this message really speaks to you, please do. You're going to have an option to share this recording with a girlfriend or women that you love and care about that can receive this message. So often we are suffering silently, which again is masculine energy. Ladies, go to a man with a problem, and if he can't solve it, a lot of times their quickest route is just to tell you to shut up. And I mean that with all due respect to men and masculine energy, but a man really will try to solve a problem very quickly, which sometimes just means hush. If you stop talking, don't talk about it, the problem goes away. All right. So staying silent and staying stuck is no longer an option. This is where you can share this message with people that you believe would appreciate it. Now, I talked a little bit about why we've been held back, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the definition of feminine energy. And I want to share with you just how it's transformed my life, just give you some real things that have happened to me. Some of you know that I actually had 3 different major breakups with my guy. Prior to that, I was married to a wonderful man, but we couldn't make it work. Most of the time, because I was just in this very selfish energy place where he was supposed to be acting, doing, and being so many certain ways. And I wanted him to walk a tightrope. And in retrospect, I see that now. So it's no wonder he behaved badly and he did the things he did. I remember him getting so frustrated in the process, and me just telling him what to do and monitoring him and controlling him, thinking, if you just do this the way I want you to do it, I'll be happy. And the truth is that I was deeply unhappy inside with my own things, my own stuffing down my creativity, my own ambition, my own career, things like this. So I was stifled and I took it out on my partner. So I actually ended what was an otherwise wonderful marriage. And by then I was getting close to being 40, and the game had changed radically. So back when I was single in my 20s, I had armies of men who wanted to go out and date me. But now it was just very few men. But a man did come along and he swept me off my feet very quickly. And again, I was just so naive to all of this. Unfortunately, he had a lot of problems. He was not only dead broke, but he was dead broke and in debt. So he had the marriage of both of those going on, and he was already in his 40s. But here I was getting all of this love, all of this attention, everything that I couldn't give my inner girl. This man was giving it to me. So when I lost my job, I lost a dear pet, and I began to suffer from a health problem, and this guy walked out the door. I had never hit the ground harder than the day this man just waltzed over and said, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. So just to recap, I was divorced now. I was working on making the divorce final at his request. I had lost my job. I was suffering a health problem, and this guy just waltzed out. So at that place, I was like, oh my goodness, something is really wrong. This is two guys that I've maybe driven away, or I've attracted the wrong type of man to me, or I've been attracted to the wrong types of men. So enter my next guy, who ended up being my husband. I mean, I dated in between there, but we suffered 3 painful breakups, a lot of growing, a lot of changing for both of us. And I actually ended up manifesting my dream wedding in the exact location that I used to walk at a particular park and dream about having my wedding here. I manifested it. And that's one of the wonderful gifts of being in touch with your feminine energy, is that manifesting and having a clear vision of what it is you want can actually begin to speed up, and you begin to see the benefits of that. And I believe that comes from living in a very authentic, honest place. So you start to use it on a lot of different levels, and then things begin to line up with you very quickly. This is not manipulative. And for those of you who are curious, I'm not into vision boards at all. A lot of my clients use them. I do use something called a New Man Manifesto, which is something I created. And in my program, I tell you about why it works and how it's going to work for you, because you really tap into the feelings of what it is you want in a relationship rather than a list. Now, if you would have told me 10 years ago I would be having a Facebook Live talking about feminine energy, there's no way that could have been on my vision board. I would have never thought to do this. So I want you to just really stay open to the potential you have out there. But for those of you who have your vision boards and love them, continue. But I'm not a fan, because sometimes we don't even know what's inside of us until we get to know our inner girl again and we make friends with her. And you also make friends with your inner boy along the way. So I talked a little bit about how we got here, this reality that we've just bought into, how it really is about a mindset, and that this is a man's world. And if you want to make it, you need to be tough like a guy. Yet then we're somehow supposed to survive our relationship with a man at the same time. It's just a lot of parallels, a lot of things that are contrasting rather in your life. And it's no wonder that I attract a lot of powerful dynamite women who need relationship coaching, just like I did myself. I had a lot of other things going for me, so I really believed I was I should have been happy. I had a lot of wonderful things happening for me, but so often women come to me, they have the job, they have the kids, they have the house, they have income, they have everything going for them, but they're not happy. Sometimes women even come to me and they're married, but they're not happy. And so feminine energy, your powerful feminine energy, learning to hear that voice inside of you and connect with it is really going to create a sense of calm and happiness inside of you that will feel familiar once you get back in touch with it. So I'm just going to skip ahead here. I had mentioned in my last podcast about a movement going on in Austin, Texas, where they're trying to prohibit, mothers from breastfeeding publicly. One of my clients had told me about this, and I just was so blown away by that women would be shamed for their bodies and have to hide something that was so natural, so pure, so authentic. That is such a good example of masculine energy making a rule and a mindset where a woman's body and something so beautiful becomes something fearful or something to be feared. So in my personal life, I had chose bad partners. I had behaved badly despite being a very caring, devoted, and what I thought was a loving woman. I thought I had a lot of love in my heart and a lot of care for my partner. And I did, but I was really going about things in a very controlling, manipulative way. And I was intelligent, I was well read, I was educated, I have 2 different degrees. For the life of me, I don't know what I was thinking in retrospect. I was just so out of touch with my body and so up here in my head and playing chess, emotional chess all the time so that I could get that love that I wanted and get whatever it is that I wanted and that I needed. That it was no wonder I never really fully connected or was able to stay connected for very long. Now, I want to tell you about a client of mine named Sharon, and she was a single parent or is a single parent rather. And the amazing thing about her is that she actually considered herself to be very feminine. She did yoga, she had support groups for women, she did a lot of holistic care for herself, took really good care of her body. But how she treated herself, how she spoke to herself, was much, much different than how she even treated or spoke to her children. It was a much bigger shift going on with how well she treated herself versus how well she treated her children. Now, one example of this is that she was actually involved with a man that was very hot and cold, and he would really pop up in her life, and they would have this wonderful romance that would last sometimes a night, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month, sometimes longer. Sometimes she would go 3 months without hearing from him, but it's like he had this magical power over her, and she kept hoping that things would work out with him somehow. So when he would call, she would pick up the phone. So I had a discussion with her about how it felt inside of her body to just drop what she was doing any old time this man appeared and play by his rules instead of what she was feeling. And in her body, as you can imagine, she felt very, she felt used, she felt isolated and lonely, and she felt very alone in her life, and was clinging to the outcome that something would happen with this one man. Now, I then asked her, just checking up with my comments. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Uh, so I asked her, she had an older daughter. I said, if your daughter had a man that was popping into her life like this, having sex with her, having this great little romp, but then dropping her, what would you tell your daughter to do? And then suddenly all of this care, all of this insight, all of this wisdom spoke to her. So you see, it's inside of you, but there's something blocking it from becoming personal about you. You can let other people know about it. You can treat your children better than you treat yourself, but really this is not an example for your children at all. So I want to also talk about Jennifer And Jennifer would, meet a man, he wasn't for her, that's it, pass. Meet a man, one date, I don't like you, pass. And what didn't you like about this guy? And well, he showed up 20 minutes late for our first date. And or he had called her another girl's name on a different date. So there was always these reasons to not have anything to do with him. Sometimes it was just, I don't know, I just didn't like that guy. I just didn't like him. So part of this powerful process that I take you through in FEM is that the spiritual connection that you have with some sort of higher power, whether it's universe or God or just something that you can't quite describe, that there's sort of a higher purpose, a higher power, and there's more purpose for you on this planet than just A to B. So there's expansion happening for you spiritually or on some sort of different level. And the best way I can describe this, once you experience it, the lights come on and you really get it. But one of the best ways I can describe it is that the experiences you're having right now, when this man comes in front of you and you're attracting, let's say you're just attracting men who are interested in just one night stands, for example, there's actually something in your energy either attracting that sort of quality or attracted to that sort of quality that you're not facing and you're not answering. You're up in your head and you're saying, I don't like that, goodbye. And you're shutting the door on it. Instead of dropping down into your body, finding what you feel, that uncomfortableness that you're feeling, that I keep attracting men who just want to sleep with me or just see me as an object. So you're able to tap into that feeling, find it, choose your words, and learn how to speak this to a man, speak those boundaries. Because men will treat you, in a lot of cases, even a really good guy will treat you however he wants to, whatever he can get away with. And I'm not saying that all men are evil or bad or anything like that, but men will just push your boundaries and just see, what type of woman are you? What's your quality? Are you a goddess on a pedestal, or are you going to be a booty call? Are you going to be a lower quality woman? So men actually get attracted to us and want to commit and be committed to us on a gut level. It's something they really feel inside their bodies, and men really do want this. So men in the dating world right now are very much burned out. They're meeting a lot of women in masculine energy who are doing the work for them in the relationship, and they're just leaning back and getting comfortable. They're getting comfortable with this process. So when you come along and your energy's in this different place, not only are you helping every woman this man may date after you, but you're aligning with a bigger movement. You're aligning with a bigger mindset that is now, it's okay for me to be in my body, find what I feel and speak it and know my boundaries. So this doesn't mean speaking every little thought that pops into your head and every little sensation you have. But again, in FEM, I teach you how to understand this process and really learn how to filter out who's doing the speaking versus sometimes we have ego states or personas I talk about that are really running the show. So this is the biggest difference between your gut and your intuition and nasty voice, another voice that's popping up, or critical parent that's popping up. So this might sound super confusing at this moment, but when men walk into your life and they step into your life for just that one date, they're bringing you a lesson, a gift, something to learn from. And so this is your chance to be in your feminine energy, find what you're feeling in your body, express whatever it is you need to express or face, and potentially never have that happen to you again. Now, I'll give you a quick example. A client of mine was dating a man that I think it was about the third or fourth date. She had picked up that he would call her names like silly and, oh, you're being so, don't be such a dumb dumb, and things like this. And so he was using sort of these innocent, cutesy words to basically put her down. And so she said, well, that's just it. I'm just going to tell him goodbye. I don't want anything to do with him anymore. I'm just going to say goodbye. And I said, okay, but before you do, can you please, face it and let him know, it's felt wonderful dating you and wonderful going out with you. Yet, you know, I'm feeling really confused by these little names I'm being called. How do you feel? Or I'm curious what you're thinking. And you're coming from such an honest place inside your body. Now, so often clients come to me and they're just like, Adrienne, what should I say? Adrienne, what should I say? And I could answer you all day long and tell you what to say. I would much rather you learn how to do this for yourself, teach your girlfriends how to do it, teach your children how to do it, and live by this and be confident in knowing that you can access what you're feeling and speak it. And this is all in the absence of drama. Feminine energy is not about drama, it is about emotions and feelings, but it is not about drama. So I teach you the difference. Now, another client of mine, Tamra, she was very anti feeling statements. She said, feeling statements don't work. Men don't like them. Men don't want to know what I'm feeling. And she always loved to report to me with her dating profile results. She said, I did what you said to do. I leaned back and only 2 guys wrote me the other night and they were boring and I didn't like them. And then she would proudly tell me that when she did things her way and she was snarky and witty and funny and joking, that she would get a lot more profile responses. So I said, okay, well, what's the problem? Why are you still talking to me then? If you've got this figured out, but yet love was eluding her. Long lasting, strong, powerful bond and commitment with a man was eluding her. So there's a way to get attention, and there's the way that's worked for you in the past. But then there's this new way, which is being in your body, tapping into your powerful feminine energy, and knowing yourself so deeply that you really can't be undermined or tricked or fooled or heartbroken again because you are so in touch with what's going on in your body. So it's a really powerful, powerful feeling for you to have as a woman. Now, Tamara, I have good news about her. She, after much trial and error, she finally just had a little bit of a breakdown in this resistance, and she was able to begin practicing these tools, and she is now engaged, which I'm very happy to share with all of you. She had to date so many men and have repeats of the same energy coming back to her over and over and over again until finally I was begging her, please this time jump in your body and let's solve this particular issue with this man. And sure enough, when she started doing it, the guys that weren't lining up with her energy began to fold. They began to go away. And then the men coming towards her were more and more higher quality men until she found a guy that she really has a wonderful, powerful connection with. So, the first thing I want to talk about in making this happen in your life is this need, this desire to control the man, control the outcome, control how things end up. I sometimes go to a little bookstore to sit and write and just collect my thoughts and read, and it never fails. I hear moms with kids or women with their husbands or boyfriends, and I'm just listening to the conversation and cringing because it really is about just controlling everything that's happening, from how everyone's sitting at the table and eating to what they should or should not be looking for at the bookstore, to what we're going to be doing later tonight. It's planning, controlling. And it's no wonder that women are exhausted and we feel like we're doing it everything. So this goes back to men get comfortable. Men get comfortable. At first, they might resist you doing everything, but eventually they'll get comfortable and they'll go along with it. And then you've got a real problem because you are now in charge of everything and you're exhausted, and then your husband loses attraction for you, and then you're no longer getting your needs met, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, this need to control and make things happen. So one of the big things you can do is just give up control, give up outcome. Now, I'm not talking about be a doormat and be a victim and be powerless. I had mentioned a story in my last live about how I had really wanted a particular scholarship for the university I was going to attend, and I had worked really hard. I had made all the grades. I had been told that I was up for this. I had done my presentation. I was met with such positive energy, but I did not get the scholarship. And I remember driving home just in tears and yelling in my car, I give up, I give up, I give up, whatever it is, I just give up. I'm not meant for college. I just give up. And I felt so helpless, and I just felt so weak in that moment. And a voice was inside of me saying, you can't give up, but you can let go of this. Whatever this is, you're just not meant for it. You're not meant for it. And I began to research other things that I could get or achieve. And I actually applied for two separate programs, and I got both of them, which ended up in more money for my education. And I didn't have to be part of any sort of work study. So I had more money and more time for myself to study. So the universe often knows what's best for us. But if I would have been intent on controlling and being stuck to a specific outcome, I probably would not have gone on further in my education the way I did. So controlling things, controlling that outcome, it really is a type of masculine energy, and it just feels safe to us. So I talk a little bit more about that in Fem. Now, I want to talk a little bit about intuition. I had mentioned how I'm kind of anti-vision board, but I'm all for manifesting with powerful feminine energy. But intuition is really one of the most wonderful things that we have as feminine energy bodies. I often joke we have this extra leg on our chromosome that men don't have, and maybe it gives us like some ESP powers or something like that. Or maybe it just really is that we are these we give birth to children, and we have this extra sense to us for protection. So one of my favorite movies is called I think it's called The Female Brain. And it's really not the best movie, but it really breaks down all of the things that women do that men can get so nuisanced by and irritated by. It actually breaks them down on physiological and scientific level. So if you haven't seen that movie, check it out. Have a good giggle. It's called The Female Brain. But just as mothers, and we have this potential, even if you haven't had children, you are just a little more hyper aware, I believe. And when this is in the masculine world, it has a certain masculine result. But when you make that shift and you start living in the feminine world, you're going to begin to have a different, softer type of result with that. So this is just really where you can learn to listen to your inner gut. Again, know the difference between the head, nasty voice, and what your tummy is saying, what your gut is saying. And I teach you how to do that. Once you learn that tool, that alone will feel so powerful and confident in your life, whether you're at work, you're on a date, or whatever it may be. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to have. It's an amazing tool. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about just creating change from your heart, not your head. And I want all of you to take a second, and feel free to use the chat box if you want to. And I want you to think about what is your deepest desire? What is your deepest desire that you have? And anybody want to answer in the chat box, please do. So just think about, what's my deepest desire? What's the thing that I really, really want to have? So someone wrote in and says, I want a loving husband and marriage. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So when you think about your deepest desire and you think about that, where do you feel that at in your body? Do you feel it up in your head, or do you feel it in your body? And just try to get in touch with how that feels different to you. That deep desire that you're craving, This person wants a loving marriage and husband. So just try to get in touch with that. Another person wrote in and said, a relationship where we co-create a mission of service. So the two of you might have some sort of little career together, something that you're doing that's helping to better the world. Just by being good citizens, good loving citizens, and kind to other people, you're doing that. But that's a deep desire you're having. And where do you feel it at in your body? It's really not something you feel up in your mind. So when you learn how to make that transition from being in your mind down to being in your heart, and you can begin to hear and speak from that disconnect that feels so confusing to so many of us. We can't, I ask women all day long, well, how does it make you feel? And they might as well be opening a thesaurus and reading off words to me. They really can't sometimes tell me what they're feeling in their body because there is this disconnect going on, you see. So that's the magical part of this feminine energy. And the method that I'm going to teach you is that I teach you how to access this and practice it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about my program. It is called FEM, and I'm happy to, teach it to you and be a facilitator in your life and give you the support you need, because that's exactly what I needed. In the masculine energy world, it was the Western way. It was set a goal, research it, do it myself. And I was just circling around whatever it is I was trying to do. I read so many books. I did everything I could to discover what this meant to have a loving, functioning, happy marriage. I talked to so many couples and I just couldn't figure this out. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And I needed the guidance and support and the teaching. Now, looking back, I did a pretty good job of cobbling it together. I was piecing this person and that person and all these different gurus together, and I was getting something, but I wasn't getting the big picture here. So just know that you need support. This is perfectly normal, it's perfectly natural. Feminine energy is where women come together and we support each other. And that's what I'm here to do. So often we might feel shameful or feel like we're being needy. And again, we can give all of this support to so many other women and people in our life, our children, our parents. We can give them support, but we can't accept support. We can't receive. And again, a symptom of masculine energy where we're able to give, but we have a very difficult time receiving. So my question to you is, can you allow yourself to receive support? Can you allow yourself to grow and get some new information that's going to challenge you, give you new knowledge, and give you the support that you're seeking and answer that call that you're feeling inside of you? So when you think about figuring this all out and understanding feminine energy and being in your body and being open and having this man in your life where you can have this easy, flowing, effortless communication and relationship with. When you can imagine having passionate sex with a man, but having a deep, deep emotional connection, deeper than anything you've experienced before, and where every day when you come home, your partner's car is parked right there in the driveway. You have no doubts in knowing that that person is going to be there for you every day. And there's no more fear, there's only love. So can you imagine that? And when you think about that, what comes up inside of you? What sort of voice or what sort of feelings come up inside of you? So when I was first doing this process, I would get really scared. I would get really scared. You mean I'm going to actually have this husband one day? You mean I'm going to have to keep this up, and be this person that he believes I am? And then I worried that it was just never going to happen for me. And I hear my clients worry and fearful about stuff like this every day. And and really not a week or so goes by that someone doesn't report to me. And these are the ones that report to me that they're either back together with someone they love, or they're engaged, or they're getting married, or they're patching things up. I mean, I hear it all the time and I love it. I'm not doing anything. You're doing it. I'm just showing you how to use these tools. I'm just being your support, you see. So this is where I get to have the FEM program, and I get to teach you all of this stuff over the course of 8 weeks. So this is an 8-week long program, and I have 8 different modules that we go over every single week. But we also discuss the things that I talk about every day in my coaching practice, which are really sort of, I call them basic things, but they're huge. However, in this program, we're going to be able to go deeper and go into that feminine energy. So this is where you have that yearning for that powerful love, and I teach you how to set that intention, and I show you what steps you need to take and the support system you need to have around you to make this happen. Now, there was a time in my life where someone very, very close to me had made a comment about my own transformation. So I happened to be on the verge of investing with someone I considered to be a powerful coach and a powerful leader. And my friend sat next to me and watched this person and says, "You don't need that. You don't need that person. You are her. You've got everything that she's got. You don't need her." And here I was with my credit card in hand, about to go forward and make this life-changing investment in myself. And my friend talked me out of it. And they meant well. They really meant well. And I'm really glad that they could see this part of me in that other person. I didn't need to hire that person. That was wonderful that she saw that. But I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I didn't have it yet. And like I said, this is dormant inside of you. It is absolutely inside of you. We just need to practice it, and practice it until it gets awakened. So I'm going to tell you about my FEM 8-week program. It is 8 weeks long. It begins in the week of August the 19th. It begins that week. So every week we're going to get together. It's going to be a small group of women. Size is limited on this. Small group of women. We're going to get together every week. We're going to go over the basics every week, which is always going to be some version of leaning back, my man magnet tool, finding your feelings, being in your body. But we're also going to go over specific modules that are going to help you tap into your feminine energy, your intuition, your gut, your creative power, what makes you attractive and alluring as a woman, the qualities that are waiting inside of you that are going to help you tap into that powerful feminine energy voice that will not only change you, your life, but it will begin to have ripple effects, and hopefully more and more women coming together, and we can change the world. I really believe that that is possible. So if you want to go take a peek, it's over at my website, which is everheartcoaching.com/ I think energy. Yes, everheartcoaching.com/ energy. Now again, class size is limited. It's going to be kicking off around the 19th. Class is going to be live, and in each class, there's going to be time devoted for one-on-one feedback with you. So if you've been wanting to coach with me full time and you either haven't had the resources or the time or whatever it is, this is going to be the class to take. You're going to be able to sit in with me. We're going to be able to have little mini sessions. Plus, we're going to have our own private Facebook group. Now, this is going to be a private group where we have live Q&A. We get to swap stories, talk, discuss. It's going to be a group of powerful, dynamite women all together. Now, if you're part of Love Academy, you know that I'm very much active in that group, but this is going to just be amplified. And I'm also going to have guest speakers. A couple of times I'm going to have different guest speakers pop in and give some different feedback, some different points of views about feminine energy. Now, for all of you listening in, if you want to join, you're going to get a discount by joining early, and that cutoff is going to be August 12th. I also have payment plans available. I have 2 different payment plans. So I make this super easy for you to learn this information and really not have any more reasons to not have this valuable information inside of you. All right, everyone. So I'm going to wrap up and I would just love to chat. If anyone has any questions, I'm going to go through the comments section and just see what pops up. Thank you for liking my shirt. It's actually a dress, but thank you very much. That's very sweet. Some of you said there were still little audio visual problems, but everything's still running smoothly, I hope. Just give me a thumbs up. One person wrote in, it says, do you think we revert to masculine energy in response to neglect and abuse from men as a defense? So on my website, everheartcoaching.com/energy, I actually talk about how I was waking up from the dream of the masculine energy world. So this was a process where I was waking up from images of brutality, terrible things that had happened to me, seeing my mother struggle, seeing other women I knew struggle. And in all of that, there was this belief that if you are a woman, you are weak, that having feminine energy means you're weak. So what did I do? I grew up to be the biggest, baddest ball buster you could ever imagine. And I mean, I was. I had no problem ripping a man to shreds, and I could do it so easily. They made it way too easy for me. But I was alone, and I was unhappy, and I had friends calling me masculine. I had men calling me masculine. I had people asking me if I played for the other team and things like this. I have nothing against any of that. But no, I wanted a man in my life, but I was behaving like a man because I had been mistreated by men. So the only defense I knew was to get as tough as they are and you'll survive. So this is a different way of doing this. It's a different way of balancing that energy. And definitely in FEM, I teach you how to confront. Well, I call it confront, but it's really this inner saboteur that you've developed over time who's standing in the way between you and long-lasting love. For me, mine was this really hardcore, angry teenage Adrienne. You know, I can just still see her in my mind. She had cut off jeans, fishnet hose, black combat boots, spiked bracelet. You know, she was a real bad bitch. You know, she was out to kick butt and take names. And for the people who grew up and knew me during that time, they would go, yeah, that's exactly who you were. But I transformed back to who I was before I started stuffing down my feelings. I was able to make friends with that inner girl slowly, spend time with her, get to know her, talk to her, hear her, and she becomes alive in you. And then suddenly men start noticing, because that is what men fall in love with us for. They fall in love with that inner girl inside of you, that feminine energy, that soft feminine energy. They do not fall in love with you because of how good you are at business and what a great businesswoman you are. That's not why they fall in love with you and marry you. They fall in love with you and marry you because you're just this barefoot running around girl going to yoga class and buying flowers and enjoying all these soft feminine things and opening up your heart to them. And really that's I hope that answered your question. So yes, I very much believe it's the defense. So hi everyone who said hello and I didn't see your comments. I'm so good to see so many of you. And a couple of you, I'm so sorry if there was any sort of problem. So one person said that they had trouble accessing their deepest desire. Absolutely, you do. And that's that disconnect I'm talking about, and that void that I can't even find what I'm feeling. When I first started doing this work, I didn't even know what the temperature was in a room. I really didn't. You know, I didn't know a lot of things about my body, but things started to come back to me and I started to wake up to certain things. Like, for example, maybe some of you can relate. Do you remember being a little girl and you had to wear like itchy clothes or clothes with a tag and it would itch you? And you would just, beg to have the tag cut out of your clothes. And sometimes mom would say yes, sometimes she would say no, or you had to wear some itchy dress that you didn't want to wear for some party or church or something like this. A time or two, I remember some person that was in my family. I hadn't seen them since I was an infant and I had to go and give them a hug and a kiss. I didn't want to do that. Or I had to eat all the food on my plate, even though I didn't like the way it tasted. So you can see how we end up becoming women who lose touch with what we're really feeling in our body, because I can promise you at some point in time you got rewarded for not complaining or saying how you felt. You got rewarded by making good grades in school and being tough and being strong in masculine energy, not feminine energy. So accessing your deepest desires is something that takes practice. It takes practice, but worry not, we will get you there. One person had wrote, I felt it was my music career at first. Oh yeah, I mean, me too. I was on this path for university and getting certain degrees, and I had a plan and everything, and I was, feeling flat and feeling depressed and having chronic illness. So I hope that you can tune into this more. Music career is a wonderful creative career to have, though. That's wonderful. It's definitely feminine. Another person said it was to be authentic me and be loved and cherished for it. That is so sweet. I love that. Imagine being loved just for who you are, not for something you're doing, not for something you're giving someone or providing them with, but you're loved just because you're you, just because of that sweet spirit inside of you. That is a wonderful, wonderful feeling, and you can have it. You can have it. I was joking with a friend the other night about how my husband is just so warm and sweet to me. It sometimes can feel like feminine energy because it's so nurturing, but nurturing energy is doing energy. It's doing energy. And, this is a guy who will come and, sit at the end of the sofa and put my feet into his lap and just start massaging my feet because my pleasure is his pleasure. He's identified that now. He asked me at the end of my day, how did your day go? Because if I go, oh, the server was down and I couldn't get to my email or whatever it was, he can go into fix it mode. He can start fixing it for me. Or he can just give me a hug and I can just let all of it melt into him. He feels that energy and he feels like he's got a job. And he does. He does have a job. So, ladies, give a man a job. Let them know that they are keeping you protected, happy, make you feel safe and warm. You can do these things yourself. You're not totally dependent. You're not totally needy, but he complements it. You're okay on your own. You can do it on your own. Yet it's a lot nicer when he's around and he can do this and help you take care of it. So it's just balancing that energy of being able to receive from him and not doing it, doing everything or expecting him to do everything, because then you become like a manager in the relationship.